Hello and benvenuto to Life's Questions and Lessons. I'm your host, Charity Youngblood, and I am so grateful that you are here with me today. This podcast is unedited because life is unedited. Now let's get started with our first question. What's the one thing I can do to stand out when networking? What's the one thing I can do to stand out when networking? So, as I'm building this business, I'm talking to a lot of my Wise Counsel members and getting feedback from people in workshops and things like that. Networking is, is something that can be very challenging. I'm doing a lot more networking. I like to think of it more as building strategic relationships, but you can definitely use whatever word resonates with you. But networking can definitely be challenging. So I really wanted to bring this question to the podcast because one, it was requested by a listener. So I definitely want to make sure that I am serving in the way that best works for you. And also it's something that, I definitely struggle with and have learned some things in the past about that I hope will help you as you're networking. And one thing I do want to say is I really do think of networking like sex. No one teaches you how to be good at it, but you're expected to be good at it. And then when you're not good at it, your relationships can really suffer. So I can't see you, you can't see me, but can I get an amen if you feel me on that? And that being said, hopefully, as I'm kind of giving you some things to explore in these questions, you're able to see how you can be a little bit better at networking. One thing that I will say specifically that I think has helped me stand out is I don't ask for anything when I'm networking. So a lot of times, my primary source of networking online is LinkedIn. And a lot of times I'll receive requests, from people from all different walks of life, all different industries. And the first thing they do is ask me for something. And I don't know if how you feel about this, but it would basically be if someone on the street walked up to you and asked you to use your car. I'm sorry, who are you? It's just, in real life, it's so strange. So I don't know why we feel that if we're networking, the rules of life don't apply. So that is one thing. If you don't do anything else, one thing you can do to stand out is to not ask for anything. One thing that's helped me is I will usually do what I would do in normal life. So I like to encourage people. I like to empower. I like to ask questions. So if I have a resource that serves as encouragement, or if I have something that I know is going to be helpful, I will, offer something like that. But upon my first introductory email, my first introductory conversation, whether I'm in person or at an actual networking event, is just really to listen and get to know that person, and ask them questions so they know that I'm listening, but I'm not asking them for something. I'm not selling them something. So if you're thinking about this for yourself, another question would be, why am I networking? I think it's really important to understand why you're attending an event or why you're reaching out to that particular person. If I can partake any wisdom, it would be this: if you can help someone, help them. That to me should be the goal of networking all around. If all we were trying to do is help each other, networking wouldn't be a challenge. So really take some time to think about this for yourself, how you go about with your conversations, your introduction calls, your emails that you're sending out to someone who you want to build a relationship a relationship with. And really think about that one thing. The one thing for you might be different, but you can also think about these questions in a different way. What would someone who reached out to me, like, what would they stand out? What would someone who is sending me an email say to stand out. Kind of flip it around. And that might be a little bit easier because sometimes it is hard to kind of turn the mirror on ourselves. So if it is in this situation, try to step outside of yourself and see it as, what your best friend would say, or see it as you're the person who is, successful and wealthy and has all the knowledge and the wisdom that people are seeking. What would an email that totally stands out say? What would the messaging be? What would the title be, etc.? So hopefully that's helpful. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please rate or review this podcast wherever you're listening to my words. And if this episode was helpful for you, please share it. And until next time, take care.